Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men who act like children of all ages, my basement is proud to present to you the greatest podcast that you did not want or ask for, the MoY Ploy. And now, welcome in, boys. Season 2025 is underway. Week 1 is in the books. We're going to be talking draft results, Week 1 results, and Week 2 projections. So, first thing we're going to do is we are going to go straight on in to our draft results. Let me get that screen share set up. Boom. Some of my favorite picks for each team. Let's go. Brett Fitzgerald. I actually like his running back heavy strategy. I hated it in the draft, and then I realized, you know what? He gets to flex guys like Jonathan Taylor and Bucky Irving instead of guys like, Romo Dunze and George Pickens, like I do. Now, that said, it didn't exactly work out for Brett in week 1 because I beat that ass. So maybe, maybe he is still a dipshit after all. Next up, Eddie Disler. I I really liked the start of his draft until he went Bo and Nix. I thought the Bijan Robinson was a great call. Uh, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins. I don't like the Bo Nix pick. It just feels like you are taking the very top of that second or third tier of quarterback. And anytime you're at the very top of the tier, you're probably making the wrong pick, unless, of course, it ends up being the right one. Next up, we will talk about Maddie Southside, Maddie HR. He's got Jamar Chase, Gene T, Puka Nakua. He's got some sexy picks there with Chase, with Gene T. Personally, I would not take Gene T above Gibbs. I think there's just a known commodity there with Gibbs. Puka, I like that pick. Now, the pick that I hated was Baker Mayfield. I felt like that, again, you're taking the top of a tier, and there's no guarantee that Baker repeats his performance from last year. One of the best value picks of the season might just be Breece Hall, however. I thought that was a great pick. He kind of went with a balanced approach, got pretty good value at the bottom of a tier with Sam Laporta, kind of the bottom of that, like proven producers. With like tight end 1 upside. Now, the Lions offense did look like trash week 1, so we're going to watch that. And C, Todd Harris. He's got the Justin Jefferson pick was shocking. I had him penciled in for Patrick Mahomes, pick 105. I was a little bit shocked, but he has had Jefferson on his team each year for the past several years, so maybe that's his guy. Maybe he likes Jefferson more than Patrick Mahomes. Maybe that'll be his downfall. The rest of his draft I thought went really, really well until probably like round 8 is where I'd say I started disagreeing with some of his picks. I thought Isaiah Pacheco was a bit of a reach when you had guys like Zay Flowers, Cortland Sutton, Romo Dunze, some guys like even RJ Harvey with a bit more upside than Pacheco. DJ Moore is still on the board. There's plenty of guys that would have taken over Pacheco. Chuba is fine. I think if you replace Pacheco with a receiver and then get Chuba, then you're starting Barkley and Chuba. And Chuba's a better player than Pacheco anyways because he's going to be getting more volume. I don't think Pacheco has the backfield to himself this year for some reason. I thought the Trey Harris pick was just absolutely egregious. Butker in the 11th. Typical Todd Harris grabbing the very first available kicker. Also real dumb. Cooper Kupp looks washed as hell. David Njoku, fine pick. Like that. Juju Smith-Schuster, love it. I think it's somebody that everyone would want off of waivers with all the injuries. Seems like he got some MoY moves there when the future sight on Juju being a key part of this Chiefs offense for the first 6 weeks. And I liked the Tyrone Tracy and Jordan Mason to end his draft. I thought those 2 great value picks, and also highlighting more reasons why you don't need Isaiah Pacheco. But where my dad makes his money every year is on the waivers, although I don't think I saw any waiver moves for him week 1. Razor, his picks, Ray's picks, let's see. Daniels, Hurts, amazing. Love the start. I would have gone Hurts over Daniels. Again, I think the sophomore slump is a very real possibility for Daniels, but we will see. A.J. Brown in the fourth is great value. Marion Hampton falling all the way to fifth. Garrett Wilson all the way to sixth. And then he takes a bunch of young players with Henderson and McMillan. I think Ray's team is going to start slow this year from the running back perspective. And I think his team might do really, really well coming down the back half. So if he gets off to a hot start, having a couple games bounce his way, look out for him in the later part of the season. That could be trouble. Hot sizzle, Joe Burrow and CeeDee Lamb, Devin Achan. Miami is looking like a hot mess, and he double dipped. That was probably a dipshit move right there, going running back and wide receiver in rounds 3, 4 from the same team, a team that had absolutely horrible vibes coming in off the offseason. Then he grabs T. Higgins for a little stack with Joe Burrow. You'll get at least 5 games out of T before he decides that all that guaranteed money is making him feel a little bit too sore to play. George Kittle also on the IR. San Fran's going to do San Fran things and I guess have the worst training staff in the NFL. Good Lord. Ken Walker looks like a dud as well. Travis Hunter, Jordan Addison's on suspension for a couple weeks. Caleb Williams looks like a bum. Another IR player. I think Pete may have had a rough draft. I'm not gonna lie. Van Conyu, Brent Tent grabbing Mahomes at the 108 and Malik Neighbors, 2 high upside plays. Another high upside play with Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, you've got 3 high upside plays. However, the floor is fairly low for all 3 of them in that the Giants are probably a low-powered offense. The Cardinals do Cardinal things. Patrick Mahomes has not been elite for a couple years now, and all of his passing weapons got injured. Again, the stupid Chiefs keep team killing their own wide receivers. Those idiots. Anywho, Josh Jacobs, I think the Green Bay defense being better could mean that Josh Jacobs is an awesome fantasy producer. That said, he had a solid week 1, I believe. What is the projection? I don't actually care about his projection. What was his actual points? 14 points. Yeah, not bad. Justin Herbert, I like the pick. I think you got good value here, and you didn't go top of the tier. You ended up kind of right in probably the bottom of that third tier. I think that Mayfield, Nix, and Herbert probably complete that tier 3, and you went right at the bottom of that tier. So I like that pick. McLaurin, Kelsey, I think you did great. I like the Swift pick. I think that's great value on the back end there. Jalen Waddle, again, bad vibes, but you took him in the 10th, so I liked it. Joe Mixon, probably going to retire before playing another snap in the NFL, just based on vibes. Tua, again, Miami, bad vibes. However, it does complete a stack with Waddle, and you didn't pay a premium, unlike dipshit Peter, who took the Miami non-synergistic stack of running back wide receiver. In the 3rd and 4th, you took your Miami stack in the 10th and 13th. I actually really like that, Brent. Deebo Samuel, another amazing value pick. I think he's going to start the season strong. And you ended up with Josh Downs, who's probably a cut candidate after week 1. Myself, I am feeling good about Josh Allen. I am feeling good about Chase Brown. And I'm feeling pretty rough about all the rest of my roster, except for like Ricky Pearsall and Justin Fields. We'll see if that's enough. Anyways, that is the draft recap. We are going to move on to the week 1 results. Let's take a look. Get the screen share ready. Boop, ba-da-doop, boop. Week 1 results. Jake the Gluten Freak Harris taken down Brett the Beaver plus fish equals lamb or something like it was lamb plus fish equals beaver. So this matchup was neck and neck until the 4th quarter of 2 different games, the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. In the 4th quarter alone, I think I put up about Josh Allen put up like 25 points in the fourth quarter, and JJ McCarthy put up about like 20 points in the fourth quarter. So in the fourth quarter of those two games, I put up like 45 points between the two of them and absolutely smoked Brett Tet. Get wrecked, scrub. Week 1, Hot Sizzle Hawk Tua versus Van Conyu, your worst nightmare. Well done, Brent. You're off to a 1-0 start for probably the first time in about as long as I've been off to a 1-0 start. It's been a few years for us, buddy. Yeah, I think Peter's team might just be a hot mess after the draft. I think he may have whiffed on a lot of picks there. He's got a lot of injuries as well. This one wasn't ever really in doubt. Congrats, Brent. You did it. And then we have Todd versus Ray, one of the most classic rivalries in the MoY Ploy lore. After week 1, the alleged mismanagement of Ray does triumph over my dad. The mind games were not enough. He just couldn't get enough out of his team, and it looks like the big difference was the Isaiah Pacheco really sucked, as well as who was the other one that you? Oh, wrong matchup. Who's the other guy that you flexed there? Pacheco and Tracy. Yeah, I wouldn't be starting a New York running back in this league. There's better things you can grab off the waiver wire. To be honest, however, looking at your bench, you don't really have better options. It's one of the reasons I didn't love the Trey Harris pick. Probably shouldn't be rostered. Let's see. Eddie versus Matty HR Southside. This matchup went to Matty Southside, the new guy coming in, taking it down, keeping up with our tradition of beginner luck in this league. Eddie Disler, Bo Nix did not have a good week. Good Lord, that was a train wreck of an offense performance for the Denver Broncos. 4 turnovers, and Bo Nix was responsible for most of them. Purdy injured, not likely to play this week, so could be in trouble. But the big tale of this matchup was just consistent performances by Matt's team, with a couple of spikes coming from a solid outing by Baker and a very unexpected elite outing by Zay Flowers, giving Matt the win. Yeah, I think that was a good start to the season. Now we're going to look on to week 2 and the matchups. I wish I had my video drops like I did before, but StreamYard has cut most of their free things. I can't even do videos. I can't do backgrounds. And I'm not about to pay like $45 a month to give you guys a crappy little podcast. So, the week 2, we have got the game of the week. Peter Cheater Pigu Hot Sizzle O'Donnell versus Jake the Gluten Freak Harris. I think if Pete with this roster goes 0-2, he is in some very real trouble. I am looking at starting against a couple of waiver wire warriors. A QJ coming off of the wire straight into the lineup. He's still looking for a kicker. He's still looking for a tight end. I don't think he has either on his roster. He has not made moves to address those two positions. So maybe I should get out and block him. Then we've got Brett Fitzgerald versus Brent Van Conyu. Brett Tet versus Brent Tent. This is going to be an interesting one. Again, I don't think Brett Tet is sunk if he loses this week. But I think Brent Tent could be set up for a playoff push if he starts 2-0. It makes your life so much easier. Then we have Todd Harris versus Matty H. New guy versus old guy. This one, I'm trying to think of the storyline here. You know, there's been a lot of interaction. Matt's tried to be friendly. My dad said, "Fuck you." I think this matchup this week could introduce some very fun trash talk dynamics, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Then finally, our 4th and final matchup, Eddie Disler versus Ray the Rat Mertz Squirts. We have got a real underdog overdog here. Ray with the overdog of projected to win by 25 points. Pretty huge margin of victory here. Eddie's team has really just got to get something going. Starting Colston Loveland just feels so awful in an 8-team league. But David Njoku really didn't do much. Oh, that's Quinshon Judkins. Sorry, I thought that was Njoku. Oops. I was just looking at Cleveland and the projected point total there. Yeah, man. I don't know. There's a lot of upside here. Rookie Golden, rookie Higgins, rookie Judkins, but there's not a lot of like proven production coming off Eddie's bench. So he's probably got his best lineup and he might be able to swap out Harvey for ETN, as ETN did light up week 1 with an 18.6 point performance, 143 yards against that trash Carolina run defense. Cincy's defense looked solid against the Browns. The Browns couldn't get anything going on the ground, so maybe they have a decent run defense. I don't know. I'd probably throw Travis Etienne in the lineup, but that's just me. And Lord knows, I'm not very good at this game. That is it for week 1, boys. I hope y'all have an absolutely awesome week 2, except for you, cheater. Suck a D. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out.